That's why you didn't hear him. You got to turn the mic on next time. Just saying. All right, folks. How's everyone doing tonight? Excellent. Man, it is amazing. I mean, this is a middle school and a high school where you have this huge television production room. They didn't have this when I was in high school. They had metal detectors. I mean, they didn't. I mean, they didn't have like, cameramen and that sort of thing. I mean, they had hidden cameras, but Yes, my name is Dutch. Actually, my real name is Darren, spelt with a Y, but I go by Dutch because my real name is Darren. See, I wish my mother had given me a cool Afrocentric sounding name, like Glocktavius. Instead, she named me Darren, which lets me know all my mother really wanted was an upper middle class white kid from Falls Church, See, don't you hate it when people make assumptions about you based on how you look? See, as soon as I walked onto the stage, you see me, this big 300-pound black man with a shaved head and a goatee, and I know what you're thinking, and you're right. I am a yoga teacher. I've been teaching yoga almost 10 years. Now, the first time I tried yoga, it was hard, but now I love it. In fact, as a middle-aged African-American male, yoga opens up my body in ways a police cavity search never could. So if you take my yoga class, you too will experience your own grand opening. See, we have Mary Ellen Henderson Middle School and Meridian High School. Now, my wife and I have a 14-year-old son. He just started high school at Oakton High School. I'm a little concerned about him because things now are a lot different for high school kids than they were when I was in high school. See, full disclosure, I didn't have my first girlfriend until I was 17 years old. Now, if I was 17 today, I would have already hooked up with at least 3 of my teachers. And just based on the numbers, one of them would have been female. Yeah. How many 50-plus people we have in the audience? Yes, give yourselves a round of applause. The half-century mark. We're halfway there. Yes. When I turned 50, I decided I wanted to, take a deeper dive into my own spirit, my own body, my own self. I wanted to do some deep work. So I had my first prostate exam. And it's funny because I sat down with the doctor and I said, "Look, doc, this is my first time." He said, "That's all right, Mr. Martin. This is my first time with a black guy." I said, "All right, you know what? Feel the fear and do it anyway." "Okay, doc, let's get this show on the road. Where do I put my pants?" He was like, "Right over there next to mine." So this is what we're doing, okay? And it's funny, when it was all said and done, he didn't find anything. He didn't even buy me dinner, but he did give me an Uber, so it's nice. How many parents do we have in the room? Any parents? Yes. How many parents of teenagers do we have in the room? Okay. Have you killed any of your kids yet? Not yet. Exactly. Yes. Okay, that's good. Well, my son, Luther, great kid. Love my kid to death. And when he was a baby, my wife and I followed Moroccan tradition by having him circumcised. Now, nothing wrong with that, but I made the mistake of posting that on social media, and hundreds of thousands of women were absolutely mortified at what my wife and I apparently did to our son. I said, "No, it's tradition." One woman said, "Look, how could you do that to your son? Don't you know?" Okay, we're all mostly adults here. I'm going to clean this up. "Don't you know that the male foreskin makes copulation easier?" I was like, "Well, so does a man with money." What's your point? Man, Look, I don't normally talk about politics. I'm not a really political person. I don't discuss politics or anything like that, so I'm just going to leave that to your imagination. Whatever it is that you want to think about politics or politicians, that's your prerogative. That's my first time doing the Donald Trump impersonation, so, my first time Rough draft, rough cut. I know I need work on it. Man, what else? What else is going on in the world? A lot of things. For you high school kids and you middle school kids, I really envy you. There's one thing I'm jealous of you, and that's one thing. Your metabolism. Okay? See, I'm warning you young high schoolers or you young adults, okay? You think you can get away with eating whatever you want, and right now you can, but as soon as you turn 40, your life is going to change forever, okay? It's hard losing weight when you get older. It's like your workouts take longer, you have to watch what you eat, and even your relaxed fit jeans like mine are on high blood pressure medication. That's how it is, okay? It's funny because when I was young, I could eat whatever I wanted. And my metabolism was like employee of the month. It worked overtime. But as soon as I turned 40, it went from model employee to union worker on strike. Okay? And it's like, I'm like, wait a minute. Come on, you're supposed to burn these calories. It said, no, I ain't burning nothing. No. And here's the thing. You can't report me to Doge. Ay. Now, we have a nice little international crowd here. Are there any French speakers in the audience? Any French speakers? No? I didn't ask about your sexual orientation. I asked if you spoke French. Not that there's anything wrong with that. Just saying. Well, here's the thing. I studied French most of half of my life, and I learned something that in French and English, there are words that look exactly the same but have different meanings. They're called false friends, okay? Say, for example, you're at a restaurant and you want to eat organic. So you ask the waiter, do you have any food without preservatives? The word preservative, okay? But if you say that in French, s'il vous plaît, est-ce que vous avez des plats sans préservatif? Well, you just ask the waiter, do you have any food without condoms? No. Right. Yeah. And also, even the slightest change in pronunciation of a word can change its entire meaning. In Paris, there's a museum called the Musée de Quai Branly. Branly Museum. It's pronounced Branly, not Branley. I made the mistake of pronouncing it Branley, then it became the Museum for Touching Yourself. And even the word delicious, délicieux, it means different things in French. It means delicious in terms of food, but it also means delightful. Here's how French President Emmanuel Macron messed up. He was hosting the Australian Prime Minister Malcolm Turnbull and his wife in Paris one day, a few years ago. And they're on the dais, and, President Macron looks to Ambassador Turnbull and says, sir, I just want you to know how happy we are to have you and your delicious wife. Yeah. That came out all kinds of wrong. But that's the thing about foreign languages. I mean, you have to make those mistakes because that's how you learn. Okay, that's exactly how you learn. I got a funny story. It's like years ago I was serving overseas in Central Africa. The Central African secretary of the U.S. ambassador at the embassy where I was at, whose husband was also a Central African minister, she's doing work on her keyboard, and she notices that the letter Q on her keyboard doesn't work, so she calls one of the IT professionals. He comes by, says, oui, madame, qu'est-ce qu'il y a? Yes, madame, what's the problem? She says, okay, in English, yes, my Q doesn't work. The letter Q on my keyboard doesn't work. Well, she says it in French. Oui, mon Q ne marche pas. The IT guy almost fainted. Here's the thing. In French, the letter Q, pronounced Q, sounds almost exactly like the French word Q, spelled C-U-L. So instead of hearing my Q doesn't work, what that young man heard coming out of the mouth of the Central African secretary to the ambassador and wife of the government minister say was, my butthole doesn't work. Like, hurry up, can you do something about it? I've got some work to do for the ambassador. My butthole doesn't work. Yeah. Oh, man, middle school. This brings back memories. My goodness. How many of you all remember 6th grade science class? Yes, 6th grade science class. All right. Did you ever have to study the bones of the body? Ah, you did? Okay, well, I got a story about that. See, years ago, I did something that nobody in my family has ever done, nobody in my neighborhood did, probably nobody in my town of Cleveland, Ohio did. I memorized all 206 bones of the human body in 3 days, and I did it in Birmingham, Alabama. Here's the thing. My mom and I moved down to Birmingham because my grandmother, she was ill, so my mom went down to take care of her. I went with her. So I'm in a new school, okay? Got to make new friends. Science class. Mr. Ezel. He's a bearded, stoic science teacher. And here's the thing in the South. Black men who are teachers Monday through Friday, they're also ordained ministers and preachers on Sunday morning. So it's not uncommon to hear, all right, young boys and girls, today we're going to study the circulatory system, the blood and bones in the name of Jesus. That's how it is in the South. So he had these posters of all the different systems of the body, right? Circulatory system, muscular system. By the time I arrived, we were on the skeletal system, the bones of the body. Now, here's the thing. It had been like 3 weeks. None of the students could go up to the front of the class and recite all the bones of the body. And Mr. Ezel, you know that whole hellfire and brimstone thing? Well, it was kind of percolating. It was percolating. So I said, okay, I need to get caught up. Okay, my mom, God rest her soul, she stressed education. So I need to learn the bones of the body. So we had a 3-day weekend. Now here's something else, young people. Today you have the internet. You have Chat GPT. You have AI. Guess what we had? The encyclopedias. Yes. Britannica. Yeah, exactly. My grandmother had Encyclopedia Britannica, so on a Thursday night, I took all of her Encyclopedia Britannica, spread them on her dining room table, and spent Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and a little bit of Sunday after church studying the entire skeletal system. I'm drawing bones like they're stick figures, of course, looking ridiculous, but I said, okay, I gotta get up on class. I gotta get caught up. Monday morning arrives. Mr. Ezel asks for a volunteer. I raise my hand. He's like, this is the new kid, okay. Brings me up to the front. Motions me in front of the class, in front of the 6-foot poster of the skeletal system. He hands me the pointing rod. I take a deep breath. I begin. Phalanges, metatarsals, talus, tibia, fibula, patella, femur, the lumbopelvic hip complex consisting of the sacroiliac, sacrum, coccyx, and ilium. Phalanges of the hand, metacarpals, carpals, radius, ulna, humerus, scapula, clavicle, sternum, rib cage. The bones of the skull consist of the mandible or jawbone, the maxilla. The 3 smallest bones in the body located inside the ear are the malleus, incus, and stapes. Moving on up, we have the frontal eminence, parietal eminence, the temporal bones, and the occipital protuberance. Finally, we have the cervical, thoracic, and lumbar vertebrae. Wow. A look of utter rage comes over Mr. Ezel's face. I'm thinking, oh my God, did I miss a bone? He looks at me. He turns to the class and in a calm, soothing voice says, "You should be ashamed of yourselves! I've given y'all 3 weeks to learn the bones of the body, and this young man, I said this young man does it in 3 days! Y'all should be ashamed of yourselves!" Now, here's the thing. I did not make any friends that day or the entire year. But I realized something about myself. I'm actually Asian. Wonderful lady who attends my Sunday morning yoga class is here Trang. Everyone give it up for Trang. Thank you. Yes. Yes. So, but unfortunately, she's the only one of my yoga students who showed up tonight. I guess because everybody else is not used to seeing me with clothes on. I wear sweats and that sort of thing. Yoga pants don't look good on me. Now, Sister Soldier talked about embarrassing moments. Well, I had an embarrassing moment teaching a yoga class, and unfortunately, my wife was in the class when it happened. See, as a yoga teacher, we demonstrate poses, right, to show the students how to get into a pose and that sort of thing with ease. So I'm demonstrating a pose called wide-legged forward fold, or in Sanskrit, Prasarita Padottanasana. Here's the thing. I had my back to the class, arms out, legs open, and the goal is to bend over, hence wide-legged forward fold. As I'm demoing this class in a room full of middle-aged white women, a funny thing happened. I ripped a big gaping hole right in the crotch of my sweatpants. I heard giggling going on in the class. Then I heard... That was my wife. So, talk about embarrassing. Now imagine a yoga class full of middle-aged white women taught by a big 300-pound black dude who turns around, bends over, rips a hole in his sweatpants, and shows the entire class that at least on that day he had the good sense not to wear his usual bikini briefs. Very embarrassing. But then I said, you know what? I'm all about turning a negative into a positive. So from that moment on, instead of calling my class a regular vinyasa yoga class, I decided to call my class Black Moon Yoga. Well, everyone will experience their own grand opening. Namaste.